position of leadership, like there's a whole you that's there. It's not just what's happening at work. It can be relationship, it can be health. And that, as a leader, it's important. In that moment, one of the things I heard is you started to examine, how, am I carrying anger? Am I carrying that? Like and then taking action in all the areas of your life that you have been doing in business. Like this
Right.
process again of creating an objective and all these things really does apply to everything.
Oh, it applies in the whole person.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it took me a long time to really have that lesson rooted in. To today, I'm proud of where my life has gone, because I could have gotten stuck in areas. And at one point I kept saying, how can my business life be so successful and my personal life be such a blank show? And realistically, it was because of me. It was because I didn't take time to integrate and understand that the whole you is what counts. So when all that stuff was building up, I remember just escaping and not facing that. And one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in my entire career is understanding, knowing when to walk away and when to run. And
Little
it's
gambler in there. Yeah.
Right. You can play the cards you're dealt, that's great, but you gotta play them. You can't just hold them. And that was a good lesson and a hard lesson, but I can take the learning from that lesson and apply it to so many things without having to say, I'm a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
I'm a cancer survivor. Did you know I'm a cancer survivor? I think when people do that, they don't know what to do.
Sure. I think, and the only reason I think it's so powerful is, it's just so natural. It feels so easy for us as humans to say, oh, her life is blessed, or she's so lucky. But the reality is all of us are confronted with challenges of varying degrees throughout our life.
Right.
And success in life, where we just bringing it back to where we started, is the quality of the journey. And so it wasn't always easy. In fact,
no.
and another thing, I think, just to kind of, being a woman leader in corporate America, still a very small percentage in 2019. But
Right.
take that back 2-3 decades.
Oh yeah, I felt like a swashbuckler sometimes.
Yeah. So how, as a message maybe to anyone overcoming obstacles, but in particular to women.
To women,
Women
I would
leaders
say,
and
yeah,
women.
I would say be your authentic self. Use your femininity as part of your power, not part of your weakness. And I think a lot of women try to mask their gender because they don't know what to do with that. And an example for that would be women who really try to become, masculine in the way they do things. It's not necessary. And it's also, you don't want to be the femme fatale either, because both ways are disingenuous to being a leader. A leader should be gender neutral. Leadership is a quality, it's not a gender. And the quality of a good leader starts with the integrity of leadership. And that, to me, is where I think certain things have happened. I had lots of issues in the 70s and 80s, especially, and even in the 90s. Well, yeah, even a lot in the 90s. But I've had lots of issues. There have been many, many times, and the female women that I call part of my quote-unquote tribe that are female CEOs have all faced this in one way or another. We got there, and staying there was as equally as difficult as getting there. And why? A lot of times they say a woman has to check all the boxes. And I've heard men say that to women as they're going up the corporate ladder. You have to check all the boxes because you're a woman. Well, first of all, I hate that. But secondly, in a society where our culture is such that women are nurturers, not to say that there aren't men that are that too, because I know lots of them. But in general, we stereotype. And we stereotype to a detriment of looking for the best people. I really feel like if we had the mindset of bringing the best out in everyone, we would all get along so much better and we'd be so much more successful.
How do we, so, again, you said earlier, not afraid to hire people,
Better.
smarter in some areas or better in some areas. That really the objective always for you was building the best team to get to the objective, because when you win, everyone wins. Only as strong as your weakest link. So like all of those things, but how in reality do people start to practice to become that when it is
The kind of environment we have,
Yeah.
it's not easy. You have to remind yourself all the time. I have things that I do that are really important to me. I don't meditate like people prescribe meditation to be. Meditation to me is a reflection inside.
Yeah.
And so I am constantly taking little meditative breaks along the day to evaluate what just happened, how am I feeling, what's going on. When I feel threatened, I stop and ask myself, why do I feel threatened? What's going on here? Why am I getting angry about this? And that practice started very young in my career, which really helped me because I had to fend off a lot of attacks. And not always attacks that were apparent. And most of the time, the most successful way to do that was A, not to take it personally and realize that's not a reflection on me, it's a reflection on someone who's doing the attacking. And B, the second thing was to smile and to stay positive through it as best I possibly can and always do my best. Because if I always did that and recognize that I can't do it alone, so I'm gonna smile through this, I'm gonna do the best that I can do, I'm gonna do my best not to take it personally, and that is the hardest thing I ever had to do.